Y'all heard about that verdict? Hello, I'm Holliday, and this is Chloroform and Chillz. This is part two of the Yap Sesh about Diddy's Rico. Puff Daddy, Diddy Love, whatever you want to call him, Sean Combs, Diddy, right? So the verdict is out. I'm sure everybody heard about it, and I'm here to yap a little bit about what led up to the verdict and then the verdict. So the last person that they had on the stand for Diddy's Rico trial, was his latest girlfriend, Jane Doe. Her name is being hidden for, like, her privacy and everything. And she got on the stand and told him what it was. She thought it was love. She thought what was going on was how it was done in Hollywood in a way. But I could see how the jury would see her as not a very, that was my dog. I can see how the jury saw her as more of a woman that wanted to be with Diddy, probably for the money and stuff like that, because every time they actually asked Jane Doe about anything that Diddy actually did for her, or what their relationship was, she told them about the freak offs, right? And how that's all they did, and he stopped taking her on trips, he stopped buying her stuff. He did get her a house, but he did get her a house, gave her some money to furnish it. She went into debt. I think we talked about that in the last video. And then after that, they started pulling up just text messages that she had with Diddy, because in the same breath that he was messing with Jane Doe, he was messing with an artist named, allegedly, Young Miami. And Diddy was honestly having the time of his life with Young Miami. He was going on her shows, taking her out. She was like the public girlfriend. He told Jane Doe that this is just a publicity relationship. But I was like, I don't know really about that one. But I think that Diddy used Jane Doe to get off his urges to have these freak offs, because remember, he was doing them with Cassidy, right? But now he don't got nobody doing with, and he kind of wants to be with Young Miami in a way. I don't think he's trying to show Young Miami this freaky side of him just yet. So I think he uses Jane Doe to get his freak offs, his freak side off, and then he goes with Young Miami and be like normal, if that makes sense. Jane Doe said that she would do these freak offs and she would be like wanting to really like spend time with Diddy though, but he didn't really want to spend time with her. He just wanted to do freak offs. So he would fly her to LA, Miami, anywhere. He actually got her a house in LA as well. And mind you, Jane Doe, come to find out, has a child. I learned about that. She has a child. And when you hear her testimony and about how love struck she was, or how in love she was with Diddy, you then wonder, like, okay, you have all this love for this man, but what about the love that you have for your, like, not for your kid, but like, why are you so worried about Diddy, but you're not worried about your son? And she said that Diddy always said that she had to have childcare so she could always be ready to go at any moment to be with him. So hearing her version of things that happened, she said that there was a lot of drugs, there was a lot of sex, there was a lot of prostitution. He even stopped taking her on trips, and then one time he took her on a trip just to bring freak offs on the trip. I thought that was kind of like, ooh. And they said that you could see the jury every time she would talk about any of these situations, that it was just a revolving cycle, or anything that was going on. I think a lot of them wanted to know, why didn't she just leave Diddy? Because come to find out, she actually was, like, I think TikTok famous or something. I don't know what she is or who she is, but supposedly she had some money, but not a lot of money, I guess. And she was an influencer and everything, and she needed to make money. So, Diddy wasn't giving it. So she decided to do like icy OnlyFans to make some money, to try to, like, keep her life up, with her son and everything, to keep everything together. Because Diddy wasn't giving her money, but he would come to her for freak offs. And when he would do freak offs for her, it did seem like it was kind of like transactional, because they would do a freak off and then she would probably ask him for something later on and he would say no, and she would then be in a text message like, listen, I'm doing all this stuff with you. um why can't you buy me this Chanel bag? Why can't you get me new furniture in my house? Why can't you, take me on a trip and stuff like that? So it was a lot. It was a lot of going back and forth with hers, and you could see that the jury wasn't really 100% on what she was saying. So after she talked, the prosecution rest, well, the government rest, and then the prosecution rest. They didn't really have that many witnesses or anything, and I was very shocked at that. They seemed really cool about everything that was going on, but it seemed like they were too cool. You know what I mean? Because in the beginning of this Rico trial, Diddy's trial, they said that they would need the whole 4 week, no, 8 weeks, to show their evidence that he is not guilty. And then it went from a few weeks to a week, and then it went to a week to a day, and then it went from a day to hours, to the point that they didn't even call anybody at the end of the the trial to try to, like, say that, like, Diddy didn't do this, that all this was just money and he's just a freaky man. So, so the verdict goes, it takes them a couple of days. They do have some issues. They're like, hey, we don't know how to, we're deadlocked on a few things and we just need some guidance. The judge gives them guidance, and then they come back with a verdict, y'all. A verdict. A verdict. The verdict is that Diddy was found guilty on 2 counts of transportation and engaging in transportation of a prostitute, and he was found not guilty on 1 count of racketeering, and he was found not guilty on 2 counts of sex trafficking. And the two sex traffickers who they were saying allegedly he sex traffic was Cassidy and Jane Doe. I will say I am very shocked he did not be found guilty on sex trafficking for Cassidy. Jane Doe, I can see where there can be some, like, oh, I don't know. But for Cassidy, she was 17, 18 years old when she started messing with Diddy. And, I just thought, like, that seemed like that was like the grooming process and making her go from state to state to have sex and have these freak offs and stuff. You know what I mean? I'm really shocked at that one. And basically, from this thing, this verdict reading, Diddy basically got off of his RICO. He, for 3 major charges, he was found not guilty. That's wild. For racketeering and sex trafficking, those were going to put him away forever. But a little prostitution, I know it's not a little prostitution, but prostitution of the sex, this, like, the strippers or the male sex escorts or whatever, I'm pretty sure he's going to walk. I think he's going to walk. Or he's going to get time served and maybe an extra year. But he got off. And I heard that when he got off, the crowd outside erupted screaming, "Free Puff, free Diddy, free Diddy." And it was crazy. And my thoughts about that is that I understand having an adventurous sexual life. When does it become more than what it is? Because hold on, I gotta put my hair up for this one. My hair is up. It looks a mess, but because it was starting to, oh god. But when I want to know what is the fine line of, like, when this is not coercion when it comes to, like, the freak offs and stuff, because Diddy was beating up Cassidy, and also I didn't mention he was beating up Jane Doe after a while. It took some time, but he did end up, beating her up at times too. Like, they would both be beating each other up, actually. So it makes me wonder, where's that fine line? Like, and I would love to have an open conversation with, like, individuals about this. What's the fine line of, like, okay, this is just sex and I have a freaky life, to, okay, now I'm forcing individuals to engage in this freaky life that I have, right? Because he got off on the sex trafficking cases. So what does that mean? Does that mean that people can have these lives? Not no, 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 not these lives. You can have whatever life you want. But, like, I'm just trying to really, like, figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, what, what's the line for us to say where something is not forced and what is forced? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I know I'm just, like, gapping about it, but, like, I really do wonder, what's the line? What is it that would convince the jurors to say that, like, no, this is sex trafficking? And if you didn't know, the jury was of 8 men and 4 women. And that's all I'll say about that. Because what, like, how didn't I feel like the sex trafficking for Cassidy alone was there? It was there. I felt like it was there from all the beatings, all the makeup, all the drugs, everything, the UTIs, the sores in her mouth, the freak offs having sex on their periods, saying that they're going to skip their periods to have a freak off for them. Like, you like to have sex with all these other men. Like, like what is the cutoff? Like, I will say I don't believe that Cassidy was a woman or a girl, a young girl at the time. I don't think she was a young girl that knew what was going on 100%. So I don't think she could really say, I don't think she would be comfortable saying no to him. And also, how wasn't it, like, how wasn't it coercion? Because he did make, not make, no, well, yeah, he made Cassidy sign a contract for like 10 albums or whatever, and then she never even put anything out after that one song, or that one album. Like, you get what I'm saying? And she thought staying with him probably was going to get her out of the situation, and it didn't. For Jane Doe, I'll say it was a little different because she got with him thinking like, oh, I'm gonna have this happy life, and that just didn't happen. And she, if you read the transcripts and everything, it sounds like she was just very in love with Diddy and she just couldn't let him go. So she just let anything happen. And that's when I think after a while it started to look like it was a transactional relationship, but it really wasn't. And she just kept reiterating that she was just in love with Diddy. She just wanted to do whatever for her partner. But I'm just surprised that he didn't at least get one count of sex trafficking. So like, are we gonna just like sweep all that under the rug, what he did with to Cassidy? Like, and Jane Doe, and like what he did to his assistants, what he did to Kid Cudi, like, are we really going to just swipe that away? Like, I really want to know what your thoughts are, or anybody thoughts about this, because he got off. He got off. Diddy is probably going to be walking free in I say like 6 months to a year from now, because people really don't get a lot of time for prostitution. It's probably going to be time served, to be honest. So after he gets out, I wonder how is the world, the music industry and the Hollywood industry, the hip hop, whatever. I wonder how that industry is going to start moving. Are y'all going to welcome Diddy back, you know, with open arms, or is it going to be different? Are y'all going to be more cautious around him, right? Like, or are y'all going to wonder what's really going on? Or something. I don't know. I'm just a little baffled that this is the verdict. Like, this is like, I really thought they had hard evidence. Like, when I was watching, reviews of the court case, the podcast, reading the transcripts, I really thought that, like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, yeah, I can see that he will probably be found guilty in at least one of these sex trafficking things or racketeering, and he wasn't. So it makes me wonder, like, what was, like, what was that? What made the jury decide this is not what we think it is, and this is just a freaky ass man? Yeah. So please let me know. This is part two. Like, remember, this is just the part two. We were just going to do the verdict and a little bit about Jane Doe, the last person that was, on the stand at the end of the case. So please let me know your thoughts. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm here to have any type of yap session with you in the comments, or you can shoot me an email, anything, because I really want to discuss this verdict with somebody. Like, what was there, just not enough evidence? Like, I don't know. Like, what more did the jury need? I'm just really curious about that. I'm here to chit chat. I hope you guys have a good day. Stay safe. See you next time. Bye.